Hi, Gay DeRusso with the Majestic rider. So heading out today on Gator. He's for sale, 16-year-old Tennessee walking horse, 15.1 hands, barefoot, registered. Nice horse, but not a beginner's horse because he does have some go to him. And very smooth, fun to ride. So I showed you him with other horses, so now I'm going to show you him alone. And so we're headed out. There's cows over there. He doesn't care. He's pretty good. He doesn't care about a lot of stuff. Oh, and I'll be taking him to Point Reyes, so you'll get to watch those videos too. We're taking him camping. So it's pretty windy out, but he's doing fine. And I'm a nice, relaxed rider. Horses always feed off your energy. Remember that. So if you're a nervous person, it's best to get a beginner horse because your emotions are gonna a lot of times bother a more sensitive horse or a go-y horse. So we're gonna take this turn in a minute. This is where they act up if they're gonna. There's a scarecrow flying right in front of me, but you probably can't see it from the video. So you see, he's very willing to go out all by himself, as long as you are. Okay, so we're going to speed up a little bit going up the hill. So I always like to move out a little bit. If you got a hill to start with, that's great because it can wear your horse out versus you going downhill. And it's good to just go forward, not super fast, but some just to get some energy out and get you away from home. Okay. All right, so you'll get to see him on the trail, but I'll also teach some and just show you what to do. He's like, good, just keep teaching. He's a little bit honest. There's scarecrows again, but you saw him in the other videos with him. So you see, he can move. And that's just one hand. So he gates very well out on the trail. Okay. So today let's talk about riding in groups. A lot of people ask me, like, how do you get your horse used to riding in those large groups? Well, like I say with everything, it's best to break it down in steps. And some of you don't have anybody to ride with, so you don't have time to practice, but you can ride in an arena. What's an arena do for you? Well, there's other horses in the arena, so your horse gets used to riding with other horses, because sometimes at home there's no other horses around, so of course they're not getting used to it. We're going upstairs. He's very good. So when you have an arena, you can, if your horse is bad, you lunge it in there first and then maybe just stand in there while it gets used to all the other horses moving around. If you have horses that, like, there's reiners and barrel racers or big dressage horses working on canter and stuff, those are all good things because those horses are moving, so they're creating energy, which will add excitement to your horse, which is kind of like what happens when you go out on a big trail ride. And so your horse gets used to staying calm while those other horses are being ridden. Now, the first time can be a disaster. You're in there and there's a barrel horse running around and your horse is rearing up and doing all sorts of stuff. You just lunge it some more. Just keep lunging it, giving it breaks, lunging it, giving it breaks until it can start handling it easier. And it might, the first time, only handle it for a minute and that's it. You get out of the arena and it's over. And then the next time you might make it 2 minutes and so on until the horses get used to stuff. Horses can get used to a lot of things if you present it correctly in steps, okay? So I get used to the other horses being in the same area with it and running around. If I don't have a place where there's other people riding, you can set your own horses, if you have other horses, loose in the arena, have the one you're trying to get used to the stuff tied up, and have the other horses running around all behind it. So they just get used to some chaos, because at group rides, you're going to have chaos. You're going to have some people that are going to take off, not care about you, and they're going to run past your horse and do some crazy stuff. And so you want to make sure you're kind of prepared and your horse is used to some of that, versus you just show up from home and you're not used to riding with any horses and there's 60 crazy horses going around. So get your horse used to other horses running around. If you can, start taking your horse to events. If there's no trail stuff by you, like Nat Track or something, then go to horse shows and just go there and camp, or go for the day, tie your horse up to the trailer after you lunge it and exercise it, and give it a hay bag and sit there all day. Get it used to all the other horses running around, take it up to the arena and watch the people showing. Get that horse just used to seeing that stuff, and it's no big deal. Then when it's good at that stuff, you can actually get on and start riding your horse through a lot of those things. Riding them up to the arena, watch the show, ride them over to the warm-up arena, ride in there, okay? When I was horse showing and we were doing 100 jumpers, we'd go in the warm-up arena, there'd be 60 horses in that arena with us, jumping over fences, people colliding, because that's what happens as somebody jumps and somebody doesn't look and cuts right in front of you. You smash right into them. So our horses got used to all of that, okay? But it's because we did it all the time. So being with a bunch of other horses was no big deal. So you got to get them used to it, okay? So go in the warm-up arena, or go in some shows, not to win, but just for the experience of getting your horse used to things. Now again, it can be horrible in the beginning, but if you break it down, prepare them well, each time you go, it'll get better and better, okay? And each horse needs different amount of prep. The lazy, quiet ones, they're probably going to be fine. The go-y forward or sensitive ones, they're going to have more issues getting used to stuff, and that doesn't mean they won't get used to it. They will, but you got to give it time, okay? So what else do you got to get used to in groups? Horses passing you. So you want to ride and have horses go around you and past you, in front of you, behind you, speeding up, slowing down. You want to make sure that your horse also can speed up and slow down without issues, that it has a good whoa and it has a good one range stop in case you have an emergency, that you know how to get yourself out of your horse rearing up if it starts to rear, or if it starts to buck, you know how to ride it out and help it, okay? You also, it's not just the horse, you want to be able to make sure that you communicate well, that you'll speak up if you have problems and ask the people to slow down or speed up, or hey, could you guys stop, I need to get off my horse, it's crazy. That they listen to you and stop and not take off as you're trying to get off of your horse. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into play, and if you're going to go to something like that, it's good to have someone with you who's experienced, who can help you get ready for it, help you work your horse through it if you're having problems. But sometimes when you want to do all these big group rides, the best thing to do is just go to them and don't ride. Go to them, just work your horse or hand walk it, and don't ride on the trail with all these people. Just get the horse used to it first. Or if you do ride, go in much smaller groups. Go with your friends, people you know, people that are going to be quiet, that are safety concerned. Those are usually people with helmets on and safety vests. Those are the good people to ride with, okay? Because they're concerned with safety and they're probably not going to do anything that crazy. But other people might. So you got to choose who you're going to get along with and who your horse is going to get along with, okay? So that's the thing. If you're trying to get them used to that stuff, you're slowly trying to go out with other horses on the trail and then add more horses in as you're getting better. But when you go from riding with 2 horses to 60 horses, you have overwhelmed your horse. It's too much, too fast most of the time. And most of them aren't going to tolerate it that well unless they've done a lot of group rides before. So that's the other answer, is buy a horse who's done all that stuff before, because then it's not such a big deal. But when you buy a horse from, say, a private lady who's just ridden the horse all by itself all its life on her trails, that's a big change, because you're going to be going on different trails, all these horses. That's going to take a couple years for that horse probably to get used to its new job and its new atmosphere. So you got to realize what you bought and what you have to put in to do these things. And then I get some people and they go, well, I want to do this group ride, it's once a year. And I go, well, you got to do all this stuff. And they go, yeah, I don't want to do that because it's only once a year. And I go, well, then my advice is don't go. And they go, what? I go, yeah, don't go. You're not willing to put the time in. You're not willing to prepare your horse. So either you or your horse are going to get hurt. So why even bother? Just don't go. And they go, I never thought of that. I go, well, there's your answer. because you're not willing to do any of the other stuff. So, see, Gator's doing fine out here. I could drop the reins, but I don't want him eating grass, but he's nice and relaxed by himself. He's not a spooky horse. And you might say, well, why is he not a beginner horse? Because I think he's got a little sensitivity in him, and he prefers a good rider, and he likes to move out. So all those things tell me, no, beginners are going to make too many mistakes. They're going to confuse him. He might get upset. When he gets upset, he might get faster on him. That'll scare them. Then they won't ride him. He'll end up sitting in somebody's pasture. I don't want that for him. So again, a lot of people would say when they see this horse walking like this, that it's a beginner horse, and they would sell it as a beginner horse. But that's just not me. I'm more concerned about the horses and their lives. Okay? So, you know, when you're looking for a beginner horse, it should be old and tired and maybe lazy as well. And then you can move up from there. But if you buy something above, there's something in the bushes. So he's warning me. So what am I doing? I'm shortening up. We're going to breathe. Good boy. Now his heart's not beating fast, but he's thinking about something. So I'm going to look. I got my right rein. My left rein is open. My right leg's on him. Because again, since it's on the left, if he gets scared, he's going to go to the right. Now a beginner wouldn't know to do any of those things. They probably wouldn't even shorten their reins up. And I told Gator, hey, I hear you. I know something's in there. And so I'm listening to you. And we're going to be cautious together. I love how he climbs. He's so fun going uphill. So as a beginner, you don't know those things. And you got to learn that stuff on something that's safe. So the same thing with the group rides. If you're new to this, you will think, because most people think this, well, it's a herd situation. Horses like to be in herds. They do. But they don't like to be in a random herd they don't know. They don't like to be with chaotic horses or chaotic riders because it upsets them. They're very sensitive and they don't understand why the horses are getting upset, and therefore they get upset. Okay? And they just feed off of it, and it ends up being a very bad situation. So back to those group rides. If you're going to do them, you either need to prepare, take your time, make sure you have enough time to prepare ahead of time if it's coming up. You know, a year, your horse is probably going to be fine. You prepare 2 weeks, you're probably going to have some issues there. Wear a vest and a helmet, because 2 weeks is not enough time to prepare. Okay. Now, there's other things to do too. Before you go to those situations, always work your horse really hard before you go. Maybe a couple of days ahead of time, just do some 4-hour rides so that horse is really tired. He's barefoot and we're on these big rocks, so he's being careful with his feet. Yeah, get the horse pretty tired before you go. Then the day you're leaving for it, lunge that horse, run it around in the arena 20 minutes. Make sure it's tired before you put it in the trailer, because it'll be more relaxed and less stressed. When you get there and that horse sees all that horses, you know what's going to happen. They're going to scream, get upset, they don't know what's going on. You take that horse and work it some more. You find somewhere to lunge it, or at least do the sending exercise, or back it around your trailer 20 times. Do something to get that horse thinking and not so reacting, and work some of that energy off. And then once you have, then tie that horse up to the trailer, give it some food, and let it see that it's a pretty good place to be. And then if it's staying calm, untie it and walk it around for a while. If it's upset, go lunge it again, and repeat over and over between lunging, walking it around, and tying it up. Each horse is different, and what you got to figure out is how much preparation does that horse need to be safe there. Now, even if they do fine the next day when everybody takes off at the same time, again, it can be a disaster. It's better to go late in the group. Let the, yahoos go first, because they'll want to get out of there and they're going to go fast. Go an hour or so behind them so you don't run into them. Go last so people aren't passing you. Okay? Because some people don't even say anything when they're passing in those group rides. They just gallop up behind you and they gallop right past you. And that can be very upsetting for horses, because they think the horse is galloping because something's chasing it. So you got to know that that could happen, and you got to prepare for that. So if your horse doesn't like other horses passing it, guess what? It's not going to do well. You got to work on that first. So get all the basics, get that foundation, start practicing. getting them used to stuff. But every horse can get used to riding in groups, and every horse can get used to riding with more and more horses, but only if you present it right and you do it over time and you don't push the horse into a big stress situation where they lose their trust for you. Okay, they got to trust what you're doing in order for them to be like, okay, I will do this for you, because you listened to me, you prepared me well, and you're aware that I'm getting upset, and you do things for me when I am upset. So guess what? I think I can hold myself together and get us through this trail ride. So as the group trail rides, it is not easy, but it's the same as riding alone. It was just the opposite. You know, some horses are so used to groups, they don't want to go alone. They're scared to go alone. They think they're going to get eaten because they're not brave. Now, he just spooked. That's okay, because you want to see what he does. Now, he spooked in place, but if I had yanked on my rein and done a one rein stop right there, he would have spun around. So I just pulled on two reins, but if that didn't work, I could have reached down and grabbed that one rein. But you kind of have to see, what is the horse doing? And that's pretty much what Gator does most of the time, is he spooks in place. I've never had him spin or take off or anything like that, but of course I'm riding him. He just jumps in place, and then it's pretty much it. And if it's something he's worried about, if you just sit there, breathe, talk to him, you know, he'll slowly just go by it and go, oh, okay, I guess I'm okay. So he's very sensible. But you see, I'm not on a loose floppy rein. We're up here by ourselves. I am not riding around like this the whole time. Now we're gonna let him eat some grass for a minute, because that would give him no support. He wouldn't really know that I'm up here doing anything. And I want him to know, hey, I'm up here. In time, I'm sure he can ride on a loose rein like this, but remember, he's coming from not working, getting back on the trail and getting all his skills back. So he's doing really well. Okay, so now we're headed back, and you can see as we turn, he turned very quietly, except for stepping on that rock. And he's not barn sour. He's not running home or doing anything crazy. Okay? But I always tie him up when I get home. And I do that with all the horses. Tie them up by themselves, away from the other horses. They're not in such a rush to go home. And yes, it is that simple, but it only works if you do it. Okay? So that's what I did from the get-go when he arrived, is I knew he hadn't been out for a while, and those are the horses that are more likely to get barn sour, right? Because they're at the barn all the time, so who wants to leave? So I just, every time I rode out, anytime I rode, I just tied him up afterwards, and then you don't have to deal with that stuff. Okay? There's a lot of things we do that give horses bad habits because they make associations, and those associations happen very quickly, usually within seconds. So the horses know, like when they get home, you take the saddle off right away. The horse goes home, you're going to take the bridle off, and then you're going to feed it or give it snacks because it gave you a nice ride. But all that does is make them want to come home faster. So doesn't mean you can't do those things, but do them later. Tie him up for 20 minutes or an hour first. See how slow he's going downhill? He's being very good. He used to go down faster, but you know, we worked on it, and now he's going to go very slow. So with any horse, they can go slower. The walking horse is the hardest part, is this stride. Even though he looks like he's going very slow, still would outwalk a quarter horse within a couple of minutes. I'll be like 30, 50 feet ahead of it, okay? Because he does have a longer stride, so he's just going to cover more ground, and something that has a very short stride is going to take a lot more steps and not cover as much ground. So when you're looking at horses, yes, they can be quiet, the walking horses, and they can walk slow, but unless you're walking with other walkers or gaited horses that have bigger strides, you're going to have to walk, stop, and sometimes that is not so fun, and it's better just to get a horse that walks slower, or if all you're going to ever do is walk, just get a quarter horse. Why even bother getting a gaited horse? Lots of horses have nice smooth walks, and you won't have to learn anything new. Gaited horses, you have to learn a lot of new stuff, okay? Because they're difficult. They can do so many different things. And so if you're unaware of it, even if you got in a gaited well, you can immediately mess up its gait and take it off so it's not gaiting so well. because you're riding it too fast, or you're not riding it with enough engagement, or you're riding it maybe with too much engagement, and so you start getting the wrong gait. So I always recommend, ride with the owners or the trainers, have them show you what to do, or take some online lessons and fix it now. Don't mess that horse up and then in 3 years try to fix it. That'll be much harder. Get the help now while it's not as ingrained in that horse. Okay? But overall, Gator's doing very well for being out here by himself. I've done lots of desensitizing with him, lots of groundwork, and of course riding in the arena and riding out on the trail. And he's doing really, really well. You'll see we're going up a hill now, going towards home. I'm dropping my rein so you can see again, but he's in no rush. No fun at home. So no reason to run there. Okay? Good boy. So this is the big sandy hill I'm going down. Kind of look at the footing. So he's hitting some of the rocks. You see he's being very, very careful. And you got to remember, sometimes you see my videos and you think all the gaited horses are like this, or all the walking horses are like this. No, everybody trains them totally different. So some of them really have no basic training at all. They just know to go down the trail and go really fast. They don't even stand still or back up. And some of them are trained really, really well because somebody's putting the time into them. Some of them, people have gated them well, and other ones have used tricks, so when you get it and you change its feet and stuff, it stops gating. So you have to know those things, and it's always best to ask the person who sold you the horse. I can help you, but it's best to ask whoever sold you the horse, like, how to gate it, what kind of work did they do, did they warm it up, how long had it been at the facility it was at, because that makes a huge difference too. It takes horses months to years to adjust to a new place, and if they were born somewhere and they've been there all their life, it's going to take a long time for that horse to mellow out. It will. Don't get me wrong, it will. You just gotta know that it's going to take time. And if you're going from a pasture to a stall, that can be extremely difficult for a horse because it's used to being outside all the time and seeing other horses, and now it's gone to kind of jail. So get that horse turned out as much as you can, work it as much as you can so it's really tired when it goes in its stall, and tie it up for long periods of time just so it gets to be out and see stuff. If you're going from a stall to a pasture, sometimes those horses are panicked too because they're used to being contained, and now they have all this stimulus around them that they can see and other animals, and so now that can bother them. So you got to make sure that you give that horse time. Same thing, but sometimes you might need to put it back in the stall just to give it a break and help it to get used to things. So you might want to build a stall to help that horse, or maybe it won't get along with the new horses. Many horses beat each other up in the beginning to establish who's getting the food first and all of that, and that nice new horse might get kicked or injured or anything like that. So it's best to prepare on keeping them separated in case you need to do that, or make sure if they are in pasture, there's nowhere they can block each other in and beat the heck out of each other, because they will. They'll block them in. They'll get them into a stall if that door is open, and then they'll kick the living heck out of them, trying to prove a point, like, don't eat my food, dude. So you gotta know these things. Your horse could be very nice, but when it thinks someone else is going to eat its food, it's all about itself. So now I'm going downhill again. So I'm going to let him just pick his way. So you see how he does it. You'll see my reins are getting longer. So he's picking the trails very well. Any horse that's been not working for a while can be fine, but you have to know it's going to go through stages because it thinks it doesn't have to work. It's probably out of shape, so you got to get back in shape, and then you slowly have to progress it over time. But some of them, not Gator was fine, but some of them are very bad in the beginning. Like, they're really barn sour. They might be rearing and bucking until they find out, hey, I just got to do this job again, and then they go, oh, all right, I'll do it. But you got to know that. So sometimes when people don't, you know, because we do this stuff all the time, don't want to pay us to do it, and they go, well, I can get it cheaper if I just go get it myself. And I go, good for you. That's great. Because you'll see how hard it is to get them back in shape, to get them used to stuff. This is dangerous, taking horses out, and not Gator, but, you know, horses you don't know and taking them places you don't know. And are you going to prepare it as well as I did to make it easier on the horse, or are you going to make it harder? And a lot of people think they can do it. They don't want to pay whatever, a couple $1,000s more for the trainer to do it. And I go, okay. But if you end up in the hospital, you won't be paying a couple $1,000s more. You're going to be paying like $30,000 more or something like that. So I always recommend, if you're not a good rider, get someone else to get that horse out there for you first. Get someone else to get that horse in shape and make sure it's safe. And then you'll be much more comfortable. You won't have that nervous energy because you know they already did it. And then they can ride with you and make sure you're doing the right stuff and all of that. In the end, it's worth the money to stay safe. And I know a lot of people don't think it is, you know, but it's much more worth that money. Even as I get older, I'd pay somebody, if I can't do it, to get that horse out for me, because I know what it's like. Good boy. So see, he slows down when the footing gets difficult, where a lot of Gator horses speed up and just run through it and then trip or whatever. So you want your horse like this, thinking, paying attention. You know, he's alert and aware. You see his ears going forward and back because he's listening to what's in front of us. Now he's listening what's in back. So apparently there's more noises in front of us because he keeps putting his ears forward versus back. And then you'll see once in a while he puts like one ear back. That's the cool thing about horses' ears, is they can rotate them all over the place to hear different things. So he is hearing many more things than I am hearing. Okay? And they can hear horses screaming, they can hear horses running, they can also feel it, vibrations through the ground with their feet of horses galloping. So sometimes you think your horse is freaked out no reason. Well, it can be that it heard a predator, it heard a horse running, or that it smelled the predator, and maybe the predator's not in the bush anymore, but it was there last night. So the horse smells it and thinks, well, maybe he's coming back. I don't want to go by that bush. Your horse is right. Could be coming back. So, but these are things we can't smell it, so we don't know, but they can. And so usually when they do something, they're aware of something we're not aware of. So that's why when, you know, everybody wants to ride on that loose floppy rein, and I go, you can if you're out in the open and your horse is safe and you're quick at picking up your reins. But if you're a beginner and you just want that loose rein because you don't want to touch that horse's mouth, you're going to be in trouble. If something bad happens, you'll never get those reins short enough, quick enough. And so, good boy. You want to be prepared. The worse you ride, the more you want to keep some contact on those reins to help you get out of situations. But if you have good balance and you're quick and all that stuff, of course your rein can be longer. Okay, but people are not like that. So that's why I'm always telling people, stay on that shorter rein. You won't regret it. Your arms might be tired, but at least you'll still be up in the saddle usually. And remember, always practice everything you need. Make sure that horse has good stop and back up. He steers well. If he doesn't, you shouldn't be on trail with him because you got no brakes. That's like taking your car out on the highway and you're like, well, I'm here, I got no brakes, so I can either just go fast or I can roll and I can smash into somebody. Okay, now we're going through that really narrow part. You see, he does very well with the footing. Some walking horses are very good with footing, and some, I think they've been bred way too calm and they're just kind of dopey and they don't pay attention. They can't feel their feet that well, either because somebody damaged them by doing some crazy hoof stuff to them, or they just don't feel it the way they're bred. They just don't feel the stuff the same. And so you got to be aware of that. Okay? Because the ones like that usually are going to be more of the trippy ones. Okay, so If it's kind of slow and lazy, it's best to get one that's on the trotty side because it might be less trippy than the ones that just gait or are on the pacey side. So now we're doing step downs. So you want them to be quiet, but they also need to be a little bit alive at times. See, he thought about the footing there and how to get down it. And that's what you're trying to do, is get them just to take one step down there. That makes it smoother versus they jump both feet down there. Okay? And if your horse can't do that, you might want to just hike with it and show it what to do. And it's easier for the horse if you're not up on its back. That makes sense? So if it's trying to balance itself but you're up on its back, it's harder. So it might say, I better just jump down this because that'll hold both of us versus, you know, the one leg. But if they get to learn how to go down it without your weight on it, then a lot of times when you start getting on it riding again, it already knows how to handle all the terrain. Because again, some of these horses are from very flat areas, you know, or if you've got an arena horse, very flat, perfect footing, so it doesn't know how to step over roots and rocks, and it can take a horse up to 2 years to get really good at this stuff. And I hear people I put him down because he couldn't do any of the stuff, and I'm like, and it was a show horse, and they go, yeah, and I go, okay, I don't want to make you feel bad now, but you got to realize they have to take time, and they can't talk, so you got to give them time to get there. So it's best if you're going to ride mountainous or very difficult terrain, by a horse that's already been doing that stuff, or a horse that at least has grown up on it, you know, where it's had some mountains so it knows how to handle its feet, but otherwise they don't know how. Alright, so we're almost back. So I'm going to still ride Gator around when I get home, and then he's going to get tied up. Even though he's been very good, I want to make sure this is really ingrained in him, and whoever buys them will hopefully do that. I tell people, but sometimes they don't do any of the things I say, so I'm just hoping you do. That way you won't have any issues. He'll be a nice, quiet, great horse for you. Alright, I hope that helps. Hopefully I didn't talk your ear off too much and you learned something. Remember to like and subscribe.